So today our main topic will be brilliant witches from pop culture, from movies, and from Harry Potter, and from mythology. And from the clip we showed earlier, it had a character, the one that had the most screen time, and also the main character, Wednesday Addams, who is a half witch, or in Harry Potter terms, she would be a half blood. So we will be mainly be looking into Harry Potter witches for a bit of today. But first, do you guys know what items are or what things are commonly put together with witches? Like what is commonly seen around them? Like what do they use? What do they have?
Cauldrons,
Yeah, cauldrons. What else? For example, what is a method of transportation that they use? What do they fly around on?
broom,
Broom. Yes, brooms. And what animal are they associated with? Like,
black,
yeah, black
black cat,
cats. Yes, okay. Meg and Mog is a small picture book for children about a witch and her cat. And in this cover, we can see the main things that they're associated with: broom, black cat, and cauldron, and also one of those hats and black robes. But mainly it's black cats, brooms, and cauldrons. So witches are known for being able to cast magic, having and be able to brew potions using the cauldron and fly around and do a lot of other things. The appearance of a black cat back then was back in the Middle Ages was a sign that someone was a witch. And back in the Middle Ages, witches were not very welcome.
or a lot of witches in Harry Potter. They love
Yeah.
cats
A lot of witches
as
in Harry
well.
Potter love cats as well. For example, do you guys know some Harry Potter characters?
Hermione has a cat.
Yeah, and the cat's name is
Uh, I forgot.
yeah, Crookshanks. What about someone who can turn into a cat? Do you guys know who can turn into a cat in Harry Potter?
McGonagall,
Who?
Professor McGonagall.
Yeah, Professor McGonagall. So that is like a association with black cats. Also, do you guys know where in Harry Potter we see the use of cauldrons? Like,
Potions,
they have a certain class.
potions,
Yeah, potions. Potions, yes, potions. And what about brooms? What do they do in Harry Potter that involves brooms? Or like just how they use it?
Quidditch.
Yeah, they play a sport. It's like basketball, Quidditch. Yeah, Quidditch. So we see all these involvements in Harry Potter. So now let's look at some characters. So we're not going to go to Harry Potter just yet, but these are some which is in pop culture, such as Wednesday Addams we saw in the small clip. She's only a half witch. Her mom was a witch and her dad is a vampire. But we won't be going to her that much. She doesn't do that much magic that we think witches do. We think they, have a big cauldron, they put a lot of ingredients in and start stirring. She does more of like detective work, so we won't be going into Wednesday that much. On the other hand, there's also the Scarlet Witch from Marvel. Have you guys seen a few mo Marvel movies with her, the red one? Do you guys know who she is?
I haven't watched the movie, but I think her name is Wanda, I
Yeah.
think.
So she used to be like a figure of goodness. She used to be part of the Avengers. But then in a recent movie, she uh, delved into the more evil side of witchcraft and she used a lot of the stuff we saw. For example, like There's also a lot of stuff using like witches using candles, and she did that too. But I guess Marvel is too cool for all the potions and stuff because we didn't really see much of that happening. So do you guys know any other witches in pop culture? Or maybe it might be some further back. For example, we can think of like fairy tales because witches um make it.
Snow White.
Yeah, and for example in Snow White, her well
Stepmother.
her stepmother, yeah, her stepmother dressed up as an old woman. She made a poison apple and had Snow White eat it. So that is one example. We'll go into some other examples later on. Also, yes, Wizard of Oz. Yes, there is many witches in Wizard of Oz.
Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah, and Sleeping Beauty also, Maleficent cursed the main character to fall into a deep sleep. Yeah, okay. So, all right, so do you guys know who these four witches are in Harry Potter? Do you guys know who they are?
Molly Weasley,
Molly
Hermione,
Weasley.
Bellatrix, and
Yes,
McGonagall.
yes, you got all four of them. So let's start with Bellatrix. Do you guys know who Bellatrix is?
She's crazy.
Yes,
Yeah,
she
like
is. So is she on the good side or the bad side?
of course it's bad.
Yeah.
The most evil.
Yeah, she is one of the most trusted and most loyal servants of Voldemort. Voldemort even hid one of his Horcruxes in her vault at Gringotts. Do you guys know which Horcrux it was that Voldemort trusted her with? Which Horcrux did Voldemort give Bellatrix?
I forgot.
It was the cup of Hufflepuff, the one in which Harry, Ron, Hermione, and Griphook went to get, and then it started
They like
multiplying.
pretended to be her.
Yeah, yes.
You remember?
So she's a very powerful witch. She has very great magic. Do you guys know what feats she did with her magic? What did she do that made her so evil? For example, you could think of what Voldemort had her do.
She, oh, like she carved that thing on Hermione's arm.
While she was torturing Hermione, she carved mud blood on her arm.
And then I
What?
think was she the one who was like torturing Neville's parents?
Yes, that was one too. And let's think what happened. What did she do in the fifth book, towards the end, in Order of the Phoenix?
Oh yeah, she killed Sirius.
Yeah, she killed Sirius, a godfather that Harry just got, and he was actually a very great godfather too. So that was what made Bellatrix so evil. In the end, of course, she died to our next powerful witch on the list, Molly Weasley. So we mainly included her here because she overpowered Bellatrix in the end. And also, she is a very relevant character to the story. She's like a mother figure to Harry because Lily Evans died. So
He can do a lot of housework.
yeah, she uses magic to do a lot of housework, such as cutting potatoes and doing chores
Some cleaning.
yeah, and cleaning and stuff. So she's the mother of many Weasley children, so she also has to manage them and
There
do
are seven kids in
yeah.
the Weasley. Beer.
Bill, Charlie, Percy, Fred and George and Ron and Ginny. Yeah. So in the end, the reason she overpowered Bellatrix was because of the power of love. That's like a very common theme throughout Harry Potter, right? See, Lily Potter or Lily Evans died for Harry, because her love, and that also protected Harry from Voldemort. And Voldemort also is like afraid of this power, sort of, but he also thinks it's ridiculous because he's like, oh my God, love. Like, I have dark magic that doesn't do anything. But Dumbledore taught Harry that Voldemort fears love because he can't love. He doesn't have a heart. So That's also what Harry did in the end and uh defeated Voldemort. So that was a main weapon. And Molly Weasley also used love to overpower Bellatrix because Bellatrix was stoning Ginny and a few others, and she was about to kill Ginny, so Molly came in and defeated her. So that's the story of these two witches. Let's move on to the next two. So next is um, Professor McGonagall. She is obviously also very powerful because she teaches the class at Hogwarts. Do you guys know what class she teaches? What class does Professor McGonagall teach?
Transfiguration.
Transfiguration, yes. She teaches people how to transform things into other things. And that is also one attribute that she has. So what can she do that is like a form of transformation? She's an animagus, so she can what? She can turn into a cat, right? And we did talk about that earlier, right? When we were talking about black cats. McGonagall can turn into a cat too. And being an animagus takes a very long time to train. The Marauders or Harry's parents, well, his parent, his James Potter and his friends, they took a whole year and uh, most of them learned how to be animals to help Lupin, and that took very long and had to require very powerful magic. Also, McGonagall is the head of the Gryffindor house and also a teacher. And she later, after Snape died, she became the temporary head mistress of Hogwarts. So she is also a very powerful witch. She also dueled Snape before the Hogwarts battle in the last book, and with some help, they were able to force him to run away.
Do you know her full name?
Yeah, do you guys
It's
know
very interesting.
Professor McGonagall's full name? Her first name. Well, we know her last name, but her first name.
Minerva.
Mhm. And do you guys know who Minerva is in Roman
Like
mythology?
it's the Roman equivalent of Athena.
Yeah, Athena, the goddess of war, and Minerva is the Roman goddess of war. So I guess that was like a cool reference made by J.K. Rowling to Minerva's powerful abilities. Okay, and lastly, we have Hermione Granger. I'm pretty sure everybody should know her because she is one of the golden trio of Harry Potter. So it's Harry Potter, Ron, and Hermione. So she is in the beginning, she showed how smart she was with knowledge of about all the magic spells. In the beginning, she was actually one of the few people that could actually perform spells. Like the other people were still learning about magic, and she had already mastered half of the stuff. So, do you guys know what sort of feats Hermione did? She did a lot of them. So, you guys know what she did that made her so powerful in magic and feats she did. For example, we can start in the first book. Like, what did she do in the first book? That's true. First book, they were also like little children, so they didn't know much. But she had, um, during when they were looking for the Philosopher's Stone or the Sorcerer's Stone, during one of the first, um, puzzles set by the teachers, she was able to burn the plants that were strangling them, and she was also able to bypass the potions test and figure out which one was not poison. During the second book, she found out that the monster of Slytherin was a basilisk and warned Harry and everybody else how to avoid being killed by it. In the third book, she used her time turner to rescue Buckbeak, the Hippogriff, and Sirius Black. In the fourth book, the fourth book, In the fourth book, she helped Harry train for the challenges in the Goblet of Fire. But mostly the fourth book was mainly about Harry because it's where Voldemort came back and Harry did a lot of stuff that time. In the fifth book, she founded the DA, Dumbledore's army, along with Harry and Ron. And she also participated in well, we can call it a raid to the Ministry of Magic, in which they tried to rescue Sirius, except they realized it was a trick. She also performed a lot of magic and then sadly got disarmed, but she was a very good magic performer and a decent duelist. In the sixth book, I guess she helped defend Hogwarts while the Death Eaters were attacking. But the sixth book was also mainly about Harry and Dumbledore and going into Voldemort's backstory. So Hermione didn't participate in that much. But when Harry warned them that the Death Eaters might attack, she helped everybody and defended Hogwarts.
Yeah, he's a good helper.
In the seventh book and the last book, she also was extremely prepared for a very long journey, and she had prepared like healing ointments, a whole tent and everything, and also a lot of stuff such as puking pastilles, which helped them sneak into the Ministry of Magic. They also made polyjuice potion, and she disguised as Bellatrix, like we said before. All right. And that's basically Hermione, but she also did many other things. Do you guys know what any other thing that I might have missed that you guys want to add on to any of these?
Mm.
Right, I think I covered it all. All right, so however, of course, witches in modern pop culture are referred to basically women who can do magic, especially in Harry Potter. So these aren't the only witches because every woman who can do magic in Harry Potter is called a witch, and every man who can do magic is called a wizard. So, but before like modern times, witches were seen as an evil force. For example, cursing people and making potions that do harm, poison potions, and as the example of Snow White, like poisoning food and poisoning main characters and stuff. But now, it's just generalized to people who do magic. So, now it's not that evil anymore. But sometimes we can still see a hint of that. But now we are able to like justify it because before then, for example, do you guys know why Snow White's stepmom had tried to poison her and kill her? Do you guys know why Snow White was poisoned by her stepmom?
Was it because her stepmom wanted to be the prettiest person in the world?
Yeah. So she looked into the mirror and said, "Oh, mirror, who's the prettiest? Wait, no, fairest woman of them all?" And the mirror said, "It's Snow White." And so the stepmom, the queen, basically got very jealous and commanded people to kill her. And when they did not succeed, she poisoned her. So she tried to kill Snow White because of a very petty thing, just because she was prettier and jealousy. So, but now sometimes we have more justified reasons, which we will get to after. All right, so now do you remember these scenes? Can you guys name each of these scenes and in which book they happened? For example, the first one, this one, which book did this happen and in what uh situation?
Kevin.
I'm not sure.
Okay, so in this scene, we see McGonagall firing a spell towards Snape, and that's like the only internal conflict between staff that appeared in the seventh book when Snape was drove out of the school ground by McGonagall right before the battle would begin. What about this one? This one under. I think we talked about this a lot in the
Time
last.
Bellatrix was fighting uh who were they again? Ginny,
And
George, and
Luna, I think. I don't but just like three students. And then what happened here?
then Bellatrix died.
Monty killed her, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, what about this one? The one where Draco gets punched.
The best scene ever.
Mm-hmm. And even when Harry and Hermione went back with the time turner, even they were talking about how really cool that was. Like you can see her wand in her hand, right? And you can see the wand in her hand, but she didn't use it. She just punched him. And later, I think Draco said something about using brute force, which was a way of muggles or something, but he just had something bad to say. Well, these two pictures are of the same scene. So what happened here?
It's a famous.
Yeah, it's a really big point in Harry Potter. These two pictures.
Crucio curse on Harry Potter?
The last two. This one is Bellatrix, this one is Sirius. So what happened between them?
Oh, Sirius died.
Yeah, Sirius got killed by
Curtain.
Bellatrix. Wow.
Oh, poor Potter.
Yep. Harry just got a godfather.
Wait, did Bellatrix kill her or did the curtain kill him?
Bellatrix killed him.
Oh.
So during their visit to the Ministry of Magic, and they were getting like Harry and his friends were being utterly demolished by the Death Eaters, and then the Order of the Phoenix came, and then Sirius was dueling Bellatrix, and he was having fun, I guess, and then he got caught off guard, and Bellatrix killed him. He fell through like a doorway, and then Harry was like really mad.
The same thing that happened to Bellatrix.
Yeah, Bellatrix was killed by Molly Weasley. And in the movie, I think it's like she just disappeared.
Exploded.
Yep. All right. So now let's look at Maleficent, Maleficent is a movie derived from The Sleeping Beauty, and Maleficent was the villain in The Sleeping Beauty. But in this movie, we have her turned into more of a anti-hero. So she was originally a forest fairy, and then she got betrayed, and then that's the cause of her villainous action. So after this trailer, I'll talk more about this.
By the way, what curse did Molly use to kill Bellatrix?
That wasn't specified, so I'm pretty sure it was just a lethal curse. It's not really said which one, but we can tell not it's not like a disarming, it's not like Expelliarmus or any of the smaller ones. It's probably a very dangerous one because she died of it. All right, let's watch the video.
Well, well. Is evil in this world. Hatred and revenge. Dream.
All right, so that was movie Maleficent. So of course the movie and the story, the fairy tale about Sleeping Beauty is of course very different. So do you guys know the Sleeping Beauty? Have you guys heard the story? Have you guys like yeah, okay, yeah. I think a lot of people have heard of it. So basically all the fairies were invited to it's like a party because the king and queen had a baby daughter, and all the fairies started to give sort of blessings to the daughter, but only Maleficent, the bad fairy, wasn't invited. So she got really angry and came here and cursed the baby to fall into a deep sleep when she reached 16 and pierced her fingernail. It would very hurt on one of the needles on the carpenter's.
Like something we did in the hospital.
Yeah. So like if I go back a bit, um like part where she wants to she reaches out her finger to yes, right. Right.
I walked with you.
Yes, this thing. So if once she pierces her finger on that spike, she's gonna fall into a deep sleep. And of course, she could have made the spell to kill her, but of course, she didn't want to. So she just said, and she'll only wake up when she receives a kiss of true love. And Maleficent doesn't believe in true love, so she thinks, oh well, she's not gonna wake up because there's no true love. But in the story, it's just some random guy that passes by and says, oh my God, she's so pretty, and goes up and kisses her, and she wakes up. So that's like back then, like the sort of fairy tale, what they did in fairy tales. But in the movie, it's a whole different backstory. Like Stephen falls in love with Maleficent, who is a forest fairy. And but the king wants to take over the forest because he wants that land. So he goes and invades, and Maleficent, because she has her powers, she summons a giant wave of forest monsters, like we can see here. These forest monsters, and the king's army is defeated because her powers are too strong, and the king is also sick and injured. So the king is like, whoever can kill Maleficent and bring me her wings, because her wings are also like a source of her power, I will marry my daughter to, and they will become the future king. So Stephen, hearing this, he is still blinded by greed, so he goes to Maleficent, tricks her, and takes her wings. But saying that, so he thinks he's doing a good thing because he's not killing her, but it's actually not. So he brings the wings back, and he becomes the king of this country. And afterwards, Maleficent, even though she lost a lot of her powers, she does still have some. So she arrives to the party in which Stephen's daughter is born, and she curses the daughter to the curse we talked about earlier, the same one. But this time she actually has a justified reason. She's doing it for revenge, not because she didn't get invited to a party. And then she takes the girl away to the forest, and also there's like a giant wall of thorns between them, so they don't have war. That's like an excuse for for the story to actually expand, and we can see the plot. And then Maleficent starts to develop a liking for the child because the child's actually innocent. The child didn't do anything. It's Stephen's fault. So Maleficent later tries to dispel the curse, but she realizes she can't. And then this young man, the one in the fairy tale, comes over and they fall in love. But Maleficent, then later when the curse actually is activated, Maleficent brings the guy and he kisses her, but it doesn't work because plot reasons. And then we have Maleficent kissing her forehead to show mothers, even though she's like a forced adopted mother. And then Aurora, which is the girl's name, wakes up. So we see in the movie it's not actually like a lover's love, but a mother's love that wakes up uh the Sleeping Beauty. So I guess that's like a difference from the movie than the fairy tale.
Why is so different?
Well, now we sort of need to like express that like it's not like before we can't just have like some random dude kiss her and she wakes up. It has, and also we can't look down because this the original fairy tale really antagonizes Maleficent as a really annoying figure because she got all mad just because she didn't get invited to a party. And in this movie, we see Maleficent as a main victim because she got betrayed. All right. Okay, now we shall go into Greek mythology. So do you guys know these two characters, Circe and Medea? Do you guys
Yes,
know?
I do.
Yeah, do you guys know what story or what myth, or just like what piece did Circe appear in?
I know that Circe appeared in the Odyssey, and she turns like a bunch of men into pigs.
Yeah. So the Odyssey is Odysseus' story. So during their journey, Odysseus goes onto Circe's island, and Circe is protecting her island. At first, they see like a demonstration of Circe's power because they see a lion, but it's tamed, and it's not very hard to tame a lion. And then they stumble upon Circe's palace or home, but it's pretty fancy, so I'd say palace. And Circe is like, "Oh, guys, have some food," because it's a Greek tradition of hospitality. But the food was actually poisoned, and Odysseus' men were turned into pigs. But of course, Odysseus is very smart. He was blessed by the goddess Athena. So he only actually sends half of his men to go and explore, while the other half stays behind. So, and also the other half leader is also very smart. So he stays behind. He doesn't go in there because he doesn't want to take risks. Also, um, so he sees his group being turned into pigs. He goes back and he tells Odysseus what happens. And Odysseus wants to just barge in, but he knows that Circe's magic is too powerful. So he is trying to think of a way. And then Hermes, the messenger god, also like the Flash equivalent of Greek mythology, the fastest god, he comes down and gives Odysseus medicine in which it will make him immune to Circe's magic. So Odysseus eats it and he goes in there. Circe does the usual, serves him some food. He drinks it, and Circe's like, now turned into a pig. And Odysseus is like, draws out his sword and basically says no. So Circe realizes that her magic doesn't work on him, tries to fight back, but of course, without her magic, she can't beat Odysseus, who was a very skilled warrior. So Odysseus makes her swear to not hurt him or any of his men and provide them with hospitality, and Circe turns his men back. And they stay on Circe's island for a full year before enjoying all the food and sweets and stuff before they remember that they actually have to go back home. Also, yeah, that's basically Circe's appearance in Odyssey. Also, later on, Circe also becomes a major ally of Odysseus. And when he is about to leave, Circe starts to tell him about what he should do. For example, tells him he should visit a prophet who is already dead and how to do that because how to visit somebody who's dead. So Odysseus goes to the underworld. Then Circe also warns him of what he could possibly run into, such as Charybdis and Scylla, the sirens, and Helios's cattle and what to do in case he meets them. And funny thing is, Circe also appears in the in Medea. Well, not Medea, in the Argonautica. Medea's life and mythology is split into two poems, two sort of pieces. The first Argonautica, which is about Jason, and um, it's an epic, right? Do you guys know what epic is? What an
A
epic
type
is?
of poem.
Yes, it's a type of poem mostly about heroes and like a bunch of fighting and all that stuff. For example, the Iliad and the Odyssey are both epics. And the second half of her life is a tragedy by Euripides, called Medea. Yeah, it's just called Medea. So her life is very eventful because, you know, the first half is an epic, the second half is a tragedy. The epic Argonautica is about the previous generation of heroes before the Trojan War. It's about Jason, who his father is killed by his uncle, who takes the throne. Jason is the prince of Thessaly. And so he grows up, and he trains a lot. He goes back, and during this, he helps an old woman cross the river, and he loses a sandal in the process, but he gets something really valuable in return, which is Hera's blessing, because the old woman is actually Hera in disguise. And so that's one of the main reasons he actually managed to survive, because without Hera, he couldn't have done anything in his trial because he's actually just a really bad person. But with Hera's blessing, he did a lot of stuff. So he goes back to Thessaly and he wants to reclaim the throne, but then his uncle pulls the card on him, which says, do you want to prove yourself? You gotta prove yourself. So he sends him to get the golden fleece from this other country. So he gathers a crew of a bunch of heroes, Hercules, Castor and Pollux, and a bunch of other people, such as Achilles' father. So this is the generation before the Trojan War. Heracles is also on the crew, but in the beginning they just left him at some island and they kept having near misses. Sometimes Theseus is on board, sometimes Atalanta is on board, but it really varies depending on what version you read. So the Argonauts, basically the crew, they sail to the island, and then the king over there is it's a completely different king, but he still does the thing where he's like, you gotta prove yourself. So he gives him a bunch of trials. So first he has to tame fire-breathing cows, then use the cows to sow a field and plant dragon teeth, and then he has to defeat an army of undead soldiers. So that's basically impossible for them. So he starts discussing his options with his crew, and they think, you know, it's really kind of hard for him to do this because this is what people tend to do. They don't give you a fair challenge. But with the blessing of Hera, the king there has a daughter named Medea, who is, yes, this Medea who we're talking about. And Hera convinces Cupid, or well, Cupid is the Roman version, but basically the god of love here, to shoot an arrow towards Medea, and not a normal arrow, but a loving arrow, which makes Medea fall in love with Jason. And so Medea tells Jason how to, you know, do the task. She first gives him a potion for him to smear over his body that makes him invincible, and then tells him how to do the rest of the challenge. So the next day, and everybody's prepared to watch Theseus. Oh no, prepared to watch Jason die because all the challenges are, you know, very hard, and it's almost impossible. So he has the potion over his body, the flame breathing cows can't do anything to him, and he tames them. And then he sows a field, does the dragon teeth thing. And then after he plants the dragon teeth, a bunch of dead soldiers come out of the ground because the dragon teeth thing. So, but he throws a rock into them and they're blind because they're skeletons, they can't see, so they think they did one of the other soldiers did, so they start fighting amongst themselves. So Jason completes the challenge. And of course, the king is very suspicious because he doesn't know how he would know how to complete this challenge. So that night, Hera sends Medea nightmares about how the king found out and killed her and Jason. So after that, Medea goes and finds Jason and they run away. And this time, but of course, the king, of course, they actually had to do that because that was just a nightmare, sends Medea's brother to go rescue Medea because they thought they kidnapped Medea. So, full freak pulls up and guess what they did? You guys know what they did? Medea's brother came here thinking that he would save Medea. Guess what they did to him?
No one knows.
Well, they just killed him because, well, honestly, it was like a really big misunderstanding. They thought he was here to kill Jason, and the prince of that place thought that Jason was going to kill Medea, so they and then killed him. So that's a lot of family murder, and family murder is not okay in ancient Greece. So their whole going back home plan was really screwed up by a bunch of wind, just like in the Odyssey, right? In the Odyssey, um, the wind blows them off course. So in the end, they washed up on Circe's island. Yes, Circe is also a small goddess of magic. So where Circe cleans them of their sins of family murder, because family murder is not okay, and none of the gods appreciate that. Where Circe makes cleans their sins, so they go back home. And now that's like the end of the Argonautica. In the middle, there's like a small story in which Medea uses some trickery for um Theseus's father, well, uncle, to get killed by his own daughters who think that they're actually helping him because Medea performed a spell in which she turned an old goat into a young one, and by butchering it, by killing the old goat. But of course, she could do that because she's a witch, but of course, the children were not a witch, so they just killed the Theseus' uncle, and nothing happened. It didn't work. But now, because that's another family murder, so Theseus can't take the throne of Thessaly anymore. So they go somewhere else, and they actually settle down before until Theseus, because Theseus really wants to be royalty, right? He went back. He went on the whole trip. The whole Argonautica happened because he wanted his throne. So now he's just lost it, even though he killed his uncle. And he still wants to be royalty. So he thinks of marrying Glauce, the princess of the city they're living in. But of course, he was already married to Medea. So his master plan was to have Medea be his mistress, and his main wife would be Glauce, the royalty, and then he could have Medea supply magical protection for his royal bloodline. Of course, Medea didn't like that, so Medea got really, mad. So the king wanted Medea to leave because he obviously knew what that would mean, and he knows what Medea did. But of course, Jason took credit for all of that. So he wanted to exile Medea because he was afraid Medea would, do something drastic like murder. But Medea begged for him to let her have one last day to get her affairs ready. And in this last day, she did all she could do. She made a dress and a crown, gave to her from Helios, and sent that as apology present to Grauki. But of course, it's not actually a present. It's actually covered in poison, and it's a poison that's so powerful that not only the wearer dies, but also whoever the wearer touches. So she also debated on killing her kids because she had two children, by the way, because she thought that would really hurt Jason. But then the chorus, well, of course, this is a tragedy. We have chorus. Chorus is basically like the narrator. The chorus told her that she would actually hurt more because Jason is a terrible father. But in the end, she, of course, in some versions, they die with Grauki when because they were supposed to deliver the dress. In some versions, she does it. She has her children deliver the presents to Grauki, in which she immediately puts on, spins around for a few times, and then she catches on fire. And then the king cradles her dead body, and then he catches on fire too. And then Jason comes over and he gets really mad about this. They have a big argument, and Medea bursts out of the house with like a giant chariot. Back then, this was a tragedy, so it was like a play. They would use like a stage setting that was usually used for the gods when they descended or ascended back to Earth. It was like Dos Ex Machina. They had like a golden chariot that ascended high up. That was like a really popular thing back then to have gods, rise up and fall down using the stage props. So this time Medea basically so now Jason thinks he can still get away with it, but the main thing is he only survived this long because of Hera's protection, and Hera is also the goddess of family, and he sort of betrayed his own family when he decided to have an affair. So he doesn't have Hera's blessing anymore. So he also doesn't get to be a hero anymore. Medea also tells him that he's going to die by the one and his only heroic achievement. That's what happens. In the end, he is cursed to die alone and unhappy. And one night he was sleeping and he got squashed by the rotting mast of his ship that he used in the Argonautica. His only heroic achievement, because that's what the epic wrote about him.
It's disgusting, Jason.
Yeah, Jason's really annoying person because like he actually thinks everything is going to go to plan because he was like, oh my God, I'm just going to just cheat on my wife with who is totally cunning, and she also has amazing witch powers. So he really didn't think this through. In the epic, he's described as a hero, but later in the tragedy, his personality took a change. But of course, we can't blame Jason that much because in the beginning, his one goal was to get his throne back, and in the end, the only thing is he valued his royalty more than he valued Medea. So we can just say his goal just got the better of him. So he got blinded by his goal, and in the end, suffered retribution. All right, now, of course, not all witches are that, brutal because you see how Maleficent can do curses um, and how Medea had killed Galki and everything. But let's look at a Japanese anime movie about Kiki's, this witch Kiki. Yeah, can you guys guess what this witch does?
Deliver.
Yes, it said here, Kiki's delivery service. All right, let's watch this video. That's Kiki's delivery service, and we can see that's like a whole different vibe than what Medea or Maleficent gives off. It's all like happy and cheerful, but Maleficent is like cold, not necessarily evil, but like cold and uh like oppressing, very powerful. And so is Medea. All right. Of course, we also have like the two sides because sometimes you see in the Wizard of Oz, this was mentioned in the beginning too. Like in the beginning, there's like the Black Witch, which goes after Dorothy, and it's like a main villain, and there's also the White Witch, which helps Dorothy and is sort of like a good guy. There's also the White Queen and the Red Queen in Alice in Wonderland, and also the Twin Witches in Spirited Away. So there's like a lot of these. Can you guys name any other good witches or bad witches that is not mentioned here? Do you guys know any other let's see, witches that we can say in the same story but on like opposite sides?
I think no one.
Mhm. All right, so let's look about the Wizard of Oz first. The Wizard of Oz we talked about a few sometimes like a few classes ago. First of all, there's I think according to the story, there is like the first witch got crushed by Dorothy's house, and Dorothy took her shoes, which was like a really, really creepy thing for Dorothy to do, like taking the stuff from your victims. And then because of that, the witch, the one that's wears black, she sent flying monkeys after her. Yeah, this cover is called Wicked. It's a musical of The Wizard of Oz. It's not different, don't worry. We remembered. And while Dorothy was gathering her crew, the witch had always tried to hunt her down. And in the end, she arrived at the White Witch's place, which told her how to go to the Wizard of Oz and also the powers her sippers possess, and helped her get out of this place because this world, the world of the Wizard of Oz, is not the place that she was from. She's from like the normal world, right? She's from the States, the United States. But this world is a different one, and she got out of here because of the White Witch. And that's two sides. And Alice of Wonderland, in this picture, is the White Queen and the Red Queen, and they are both heirs to the throne, except the White Queen got chosen. The Red Queen is really, I guess, like angry of it because she wasn't chosen.
Sorry about that. 可以讲一讲这个关于这个千与千寻的故事吗？他们是一对 twin sisters。
Yeah. So in Spirited Away, we have these two twin witches. One is like the boss of the castle that the main character goes to, and the other is just lives in a small house far away. And they are like, one is, well, not necessarily bad, but just not kind, I guess. Because in the end, we can still see that
Like Cersei, yeah, he can turn someone to the pig.
yeah, well, that was sort of her friend's fault because they ate food that they weren't supposed to. So, but it's still, she wasn't really bad but she was just like an annoying boss because like throughout the story, the main character worked here to, clean up and everything, but she was like a bad boss. Like when the really dirty sort of guest came in here for a bath, uh she, she gave her she told her to go in and pull the water leaf switch and everything, and because of this she got a reward from the guest who was actually a god of the river. And in the end, even though she in the beginning acted very evil, in the end she still respected the main character and gave her one final test for her to rescue her parents who were turned into pigs. Sort of like Cersei, right? Turned into pigs. Yeah, yeah. In the beginning, her parents ate some food that were not meant for them, and they got turned into pigs. It was like a reference to Cersei turning Odysseus men into pigs. On the other hand, while she went on like a train with some of her small friends, she visited her boss's twin sister, who was actually very kind, and her boss's giant oversized baby who was also turned into a better person by her twin sister. So in here they also got off character developments, and as they head back towards the end of the movie, she also gained a new wisdom, I guess.
So, let's say the winner.
So now before we go, let's see one final trailer about Spirited Away. Have you guys watched Spirited Away? I think you guys, have you guys watched it? Have you guys watched
No one?
it? Okay, if you guys haven't watched it, you should really watch it. It's a very good movie.
Yes.
Well, when I watched it when I was very small, I got really scared of it because her parents got turned into pigs. But I watched it again a few years ago. It was really good. All right, let's watch the trailer and then it'll be over.
ここ嫌だ。戻ろうお父さん。戻ろうよお父さん。私行かない。こんなとこに町がある。まだ行くの？お父さん帰ろうよ。ねえ。誰もいないね。ねえ帰ろう。お店の人に怒られるよ。お母さん、お父さん。嘘。夢だ、夢だ。お母さん、お父さん、お父さん帰ろう、帰ろうお父さん。
Yes, so I guess that was a small trailer, but I'm kind of sad they didn't show the rest because they only show like the introduction. If you see on one of these, like this one, it shows how she befriended many spirits in this movie. And of course, there's a lot of magic involved in this because like what sort of food turns you into a pig? I'm pretty sure that was also a small reference. I'm not sure if the creator recognized this or not, but I see that as a reference to Cersei. All right, and that is the end of today. So next time we will be talking about
Jeffrey?
Ron.
I need to go.
Yeah, it's okay. We finished. All right, next time we will be talking about Ron. See you later.
See you.